我显然有些惭愧。
好的，各位观众朋友们，晚上好，欢迎收看由腾讯 QD 营为带来的。
All right, everybody, welcome once again back to Games in Asia for our coverage of the Demacia Cup Week 2. It is going to be our second match of the day. We are going to be seeing the sister teams of the teams we saw last time. It is going to be Energy Pacemaker Carries taking on their opponent's Vici Gaming Potential, as opposed to Star.
And again, we talked about how kind of a roster shuffle came out of both teams. So Vici Gaming recently kind of bought up a bunch of teams. Well, we've got some original Vici Gaming. We have some Vici Esports. We have some Standpoint Gaming all joining the roster. Kind of a mix. So obviously, Vici Gaming saw great success from the roster last game. We'll see if their sister team can find the same success. Energy Pacemaker Carry. Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong members are Supercat and Boo Ping, I believe, on this next roster if they're not going to be subbed in. The roster that I have, is going to be V, Boo Ping, Xiao, Love Letter, and Supercat. So some familiar faces as well as a lot of new ones. Very curious to see how this will go. The last time these two teams met in LSPL, they actually split even.
And to touch on a little bit more of your point too, Energy Pacemaker Carry has a lot more patchwork in its team. It actually comes from 3 teams with, we discussed a little bit more of this Standpoint Gaming merger that went on with Vici Gaming, but Energy Pacemaker Carry also had an off-season merger with KX Happy. So their top laner is V, all previously of KX Happy, but they also have a mid laner and an AD carry from the previous Energy Pacemaker, which is no longer in existence.
Pretty much. So a lot of duct tape, a lot of Gorilla Glue. We'll see if it really pays off for them. Speaking back on kind of those last teams, so VGS and Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong are quote-unquote considered the better teams of these two organizations. So this still should be relatively close, but I'm actually very curious to see how Energy Pacemaker Carries is going to look. Again, Supercat is coming over from the mid laner from Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong. Didn't find much success in LPL. Is now going to be the support for Energy Pacemaker Carries. And Booping, typically as a jungle, he doesn't do very well unless he's being very proactive, if anyone's going to be super aggressive against them, it's going to be the Vici Gaming organization. I mean, we saw in that last set against Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong how all over the jungle they are with warding and the rotations. It's fantastic. So if Vici Gaming Potential can make the same rotations that Stars was making, I have a feeling that Booping's going to have a really hard time.
And Booping's going to want to focus on that bot lane. He definitely likes to hang out with Supercat, sort of his best friend. But they have to be making a lot of an effort to cover a lot of other lanes too. Vici Gaming P may not be the stronger of the two teams, but also coached by Tabe, also has a lot of interesting strategies to employ. They actually played Rui as a top lane Soraka in the LSPL in the opening day, and they have a whole lot of other crazy strategies. They also are made up primarily of previous Vici Gaming members. Well, Ruby was on Vici Esports, but he was sort of considered the person that was carrying Vici Esports.
The 16th place LSPL team.
Yes, no longer has the star player Rui, but also bringing in Chi-Chi and Master Mao of Standpoint Gaming. So, more patchwork stuff, but seems to be working out pretty well for them. They did split a 1-1 in their last series in the LSPL. We'll see if they can get a 2 out of 3 in this time against Energy Pacemaker Carries and make it 2 Vicis going forward in the Demacia Cup.
And I do want to emphasize, this is the Demacia Cup, this isn't the LPL, this isn't LSPL. Demacia Cup doesn't give circuit points, it doesn't have any qualifier points for Worlds or anything like it. This is literally teams showing up, 28 teams to be exact, from LPL, LSPL, and the TGA Grand Prix for the fame and the fortune. This actually has a very large prize pool on it. It's a prize pool of $118,000, this is American dollars. The first place team gets $48,000 to their name, so definitely a big chunk of change coming out. Every single Monday, it is going to be 2 sets of best-of-3 games. All of the teams are invited, obviously, and the teams that were in the playoffs, so EDG, Invictus Gaming, World Elite, and OMG, all get buys into the second round already. So won't see them for quite a little bit, but we are going down the list. This is the second week, so second term of the brackets. It'll continue all the way over into December, and I believe it's December 14th that the final 8 will compete.
quite a long tournament, really, but it is definitely one of the bigger and more flashier show matches, well, sets of show tournaments, rather, that they do have over in China. So this is going to be a fantastic showing of a lot of teams, LPL and LSPL. I love that they have kind of a mixed division thing. This is not something that you see in every region. There's usually a clear distinction between the primary and secondary leagues, and it seems like China does things a bit differently.
And just to kind of go back and touch on that point, again, we keep talking about a lot of people think that there are better teams in LSPL, that it is the better professional circuit. And this is literally the nut up or shut up moment. You have the LSPL teams competing directly with LPL. And again, if all LSPL teams played like VG Gaming did that last set, fantastic. I can't wait to see more.
And of course the lineup, well, we're going to have a little bit of a minute to discuss it. We did talk about what teams they were previously on, but VG Gaming is going to be rocking, unless they use any subs or any name changes, as of course we do see pretty frequently. VG Gaming P going to be running Rui in the top lane, Chi-Chi in the jungle, Tong on the mid, AD carry is going to be Master Mao, and the support is Kill You, and no, I am not making a death threat.
And Energy Pacemaker carries is going to be V, just letter V, like V for Vendetta in that top lane. It's going to be Bu Ping in the jungle. I'm going to butcher this. Xiaosu? I'm going to say Xiaosu.
I think Xiaosu is a pretty good pronunciation.
In your mid laner, Love Letter on AD carry, and it's going to be Super Cat on the support.
That's, no matter who wins this game, that's the best name I've heard all night.
Super
Cat. I mean, it's very creative, especially in a lot of these regions that don't have. I mean, these guys get their names super de-emphasized just because they have a whole bunch of basically advertisements in their name. You have to work with limited characters, and it's pretty cool to see the creative stuff they come up with.
Including Drug. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, I seriously think someone needs to call help for him. Like, Loveland to Alan to Drug? What?
It's literally the downward spiral of his life as his love life just crumbles around him.
Yeah, someone get that guy a girlfriend again. Okay. Well, the rest of the casters, the other casters, though, that isn't us, by the way, for those of you guys wondering. Those are some lovely Chinese casters. Right. Are you?
Yeah.
I thought my hair was that long. Okay.
The dots are looking nice on you, Pyra.
Thank you. Yeah, I really I wanted to wear it out of the house, and I just wasn't sure how it would look, but I'm glad you're giving me your approval.
It's flattering. It's a nice cap for you, but kind of touching back on this. I know, right? That's enough of that. That got a little weird, a little fast. But touching back on these teams, I did watch a couple of the. Ooh, yes. Don't even have to talk about it right now.
Thank you. Back to the champ select.
He's like, thank goodness I didn't want to go through with that. Right away, Lulu being banned. I think Lulu was picked every single game last set, so definitely a priority pick in China. Again, we talk about the strength of the AD carries makes Lulu an especially big threat with her utility ultimate there. Jax being taken away, pretty much banned every single game.
Yeah, and they don't want to let Lulu get through as well, so Energy Pacemaker focusing on that one. Just definitely seems to be a popular pickup. And ooh, wow, banning Master Mao out of Kog'Maw pick, and Kog'Maw, of course, seeing a big resurgence in popularity thanks to your friend Deft over there in Korea.
And Master Mao actually played Kog'Maw the last time Vici played against Dreamcatcher. Did it to much success. They did win the game, both of the sets, so not surprising to see that pick go down. And it's also going to be an Annie being taken away.
I'm a little more surprised about that, but in all honesty, this is something that Energy Pacemaker carry can do. I think they do like hard engage kind of support plays, so I wouldn't be too surprised if that's something that Supercat keeps in the back pocket, but not going to let him have it this time.
And of course, Supercat coming over from that mid lane would be especially deadly on an AP mage style support, which is very popular in China. And Nidalee also being taken away. Tong plays a fair bit of Nidalee, so again, these target bans really coming hard and heavy. Leaves a lot of priority picks open. The Kayle is still available, and like the last set, we pretty much saw Kayle every single game. I think she was banned once.
And Captain too. Also, Braum is available too. There's a lot of weapons for whoever gets the first pick, and you can bet there will be a very quick lock-in on the side of the Energy Pacemaker carry looking to pick something up quick. Kayle's going to be the one taken away. What's it going to be for the first lock-in?
We've seen a lot of Kassadin, which again we've talked about how is pretty bizarre for China. They don't play a lot of Kassadin, it doesn't really work for them, and there it is.
And they play Kassadin.
Last time Kassadin was played against Vici P, potential. I always want to say VGS. Vici Gaming, they pretty much stomped it. Braum is going to be there as well as the Twitch.
Wow, and they opt for Twitch instead of Lucian this time. I'm actually very surprised at this. Master Mao is definitely more known as a Twitch player, but the combination of Braum and Lucian is just so strong right now. Any team that lets it go through generally suffers for the decision, but I guess comfort over style.
Definitely there, and we talked about how Twitch is so effective in China. Again, the best bottom lanes in the world. Obviously, they're going to hyper carry on a hyper carry like that. Also, the stealth aspect of Twitch really coming into play, and the lack of warding from Chinese teams. Same thing with Kha'Zix, very powerful right now. This is the 4.8 patch, so Kha'Zix has not been smashed in the jungle quite yet, so very, very strong if Booping decides to go for this pick. And again, we talk about how Booping has to be very proactive in his jungle if he's going to do well. If he's a reactionary jungler, he tends to fall apart pretty quickly.
And, Kha'Zix is, especially on 4.8, is one of those quintessential kind of get ahead or don't do anything kind of junglers. He's going to want to be in lanes all the time, picking up kills early. We saw that really successfully last time on the side of VG Gaming S, and hopefully Booping is going to be able to emulate that one. That does leave a couple other jungle picks open. It looks like Chi-Chi's going to be going for an Elise pickup, swapping with Master Mao on the Twitch pick. But you look at this comp on the side of Energy Pacemaker Carry, the one that is developing right now looks very similar to something we saw earlier, which was the ill-fated pick composition of VG Gaming S in Game 1.
And you were talking about that top lane Soraka, and I'm betting that that's what that's going to be with that Braum already locked in.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. They're still waiting on their mid lane pick. And Rui is sort of an odd top laner. He likes these weird pickups and to throw people off with it.
AP heavy player. He plays Ryze, he plays Soraka, which Ryze is very popular in the Chinese scene, but he was pretty much the all-star for his team. And actually, considering VGP, I would have to say that their all-star players are kind of the support, the jungle, and the top. You'll see these guys make very early roams, which shouldn't really see on a Soraka pick, so I'm very curious how that's going to transition, because I feel like they kind of have almost a goon gank squad going from those three members.
Brosgrin, it looks like Energy Pacemaker Carry picked up Frieza again.
That's not even her final form.
I can't unsee it.
I know,
After
right?
you told me that, I'm like, I'm out. Forget about it. The Chinese art's too crazy.
Exactly,
Oh.
but for those of you who aren't familiar to seeing that is Shyvana being picked up by Level Level right there to go to V in that top lane and kill you. Now looking at LeBlanc for the pickup for Tong in the mid lane.
Yeah, I like this a lot because it counteract. It's sort of a skill matchup with Caston if they end up sending him mid lane. I don't know why I thought they wouldn't, just because they haven't swapped yet. But this is a really nice setup because it gives them a large front line in Braum. It gives them a lot of distraction with Elise and LeBlanc, and that lets Master Mao pretty much do whatever he wants this game. And they have the insurance policy heal from Rui.
Exactly. Essentially, it's kind of like a two-man team. You have the hyper carry from LeBlanc, who late game, she's pretty much just going to be a bridge from mid to late game. She will still have potential to burst and make someone disappear late game, but really LeBlanc's power spike is getting that snowball into the mid game. And then, of course, you have Master Mao to pick it up. He is the carry for his team, has the Kog'Maw, has the pocket Twitch pick on that Twitch, and pretty much every single member around them is going to be supporting for those two people to take off. It's kind of an all-or-nothing composition right now for them.
Yes, I definitely like the way Vici played this champ select out a lot better. They certainly have a really good late game composition. They don't have any pressure to get a lot of early kills. Elise is honestly the kind of the distraction in this game, whereas there's a lot of pressure on the side of Energy Pacemaker Carry to try and mop things up really quickly. You mentioned Bu Ping is this kind of jungler that either snowballs or does nothing. This is definitely like kind of a known fact, and Vici Gaming is going to try to play it up to that. They're going to play very safe. I expect standard lanes out of this one to start the game off, and honestly, probably a slow start.
Definitely, with Kassadin into the game, Energy Pacemaker is going to look to slow down this early game and not let what happened to their predecessor happen to them. They want Kassadin to get his items early so he can start stacking up the Roa, stacking up the tier, and getting his feet wet. Pretty much consistently, every time Kassadin's shown his face here, he's been ganked into the ground, has not found any success in any of the LPL games that I've seen him.
We'll see if that trend continues as this game does get underway. Remember, this is a best of 3 to see who does go on to the next round. Is it going to be a second Vici Gaming team, Vici Gaming potential? They do have the potential. Or is it going to be their opponents, Energy Pacemaker Carries?
And exactly, just to emphasize this is sudden death. So if they lose here, there's no losers bracket for them to drop into. They're just completely out of the tournament.
We are going to get into the start of the game as the rest of the pre-game analysis and banter goes up. Man, I do look good in that dress.
I'm telling you, it really brings out your eyes. The polka dots, you got some nice hair going.
And I like your sweater vest too, by the way. It's very classy.
Thank you. I was gonna say you didn't even compliment my jacket.
You see, you gotta give me a minute to do it. You know, I need to take some time. It's a developing relationship.
developing cast, but we're finally on the Rift. It is going to be Vici Potential on the red side, Energy Pacemaker carries, not Hong Kong on your blue side this time. These are the sister teams of the teams we just previously watched. First game, so definitely a lot of room to grow here, and we'll see what happens.
And they are looking to do the standard lane thing just by the way that EP is deciding to move this one out. So a big roam together coming out of VGP, though. They don't want to take any unnecessary risks in the beginning of the game. They do have kind of a window of weakness where they just, if they can get isolated early on, I think the level 1 from EP.C is actually a little bit stronger here. So they're gonna kind of do sort of a line of scrimmage, but they haven't quite figured out how they want to do it yet. We can see a lane swap, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We actually haven't seen a lot of invades here. We've seen some aggressive warding, but not a lot of action in the early levels. I believe that there was one early invade kind of for a red buff in the middle of the Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong and VGS games, but pretty much a line of scrimmage consistently from these teams.
And I think this is like the 2-minute safety net. I'm going to try and coin this because these guys love doing this.
Calm down,
and just
Monty.
immediately backing off. I don't have nearly as many awkward laughs as that. I wish. I love the Monty awkward laugh. It's when Doa always makes the 80s references.
I feel like Doa is nothing but 80s references.
Yeah, but they're just so delicious. They're so good.
But it is going to be a lane swap, so obviously Master Mount going over into that top lane. Braum, very powerful level 1. Kind of like Leona in the fact that taking Ignite, you don't necessarily want to put him in a 2v1, but expect to see some roaming Braum come out, so very excited to see that. Twitch, of course, wants to be in that solo lane by himself, get that solo EXP, get those levels going, bypass his early weak game. He doesn't necessarily have a quote-unquote, I say quote-unquote a lot, it's a crutch word, have to get rid of it. He doesn't have a weak lane phase by any standard of the imagination, but comparing his early game to his late game, it's night and day, and the faster that Twitch can get to that late game, the better he's going to be. So, no surprise coming out here.
Everything getting off to a pretty standard start. I am a little bit surprised that they opted for the lane swap. I suppose Master Mao and Killiu are going to have a little bit of an easier time up against a solo lane Shyvana than they would against the Lucian and Morgana combination. And we actually didn't talk too much about the Morgana, but this lends a heavy amount of AP to this team, actually.
And it pretty much makes Lucian invulnerable, so Love Letter... I mean, you talked about he is very strong, a pickup for his team right now. I'm really curious to see how he'll do facing up against Master Mao. But Lucian, with the Relentless Pursuit, with the Black Shield, if he dies, that's completely on him. He's got like 20 cleanses.
And there's really no way to like get caught on that without anything really terrible happening. Well, Killiu tried to go in there and contest the blue buff, but he's just going to succeed in annoying Booping, and they'll be happy to just go back to this top lane and farm it away. And actually, I can't even... Oh, I almost couldn't see Rui on the minimap, and then I realized, oh yeah, it's the buddy system meta.
He's in the jungle right now. I'm actually really surprised that Shiyu made a roam over to that blue buff to kind of help them out. I think they saw that Killiu disappeared.
Tong. You never know what's going to happen with LeBlanc, and this is why I think it's a pretty nice skill matchup into a Kassadin. The nice thing that VGP is doing with Soraka as well is that this is a champion that does actually work pretty well. And we'll talk about it in a minute. Oh, Tong, that's not the place to be. Ignite's going to go on preemptively, burning the flash, though. Getting the Mimic out there, but they picked the correct one, and Chi-Chi not in the area to get anyone locked up on a cocoon.
So
nice
the reason
early one.
that Ignite went out early was actually to predict the clone. You notice that the clone didn't have the eyes above its head, so it was so they could definitely tell what was going to happen. It was also to keep vision as LeBlanc was going to distortion into that brush. Again, the Ignite changes went down a couple patches ago. Still, a lot of people don't recognize if you ignite someone, you get vision of them. So a fantastic use of that Ignite to make sure that they were going to secure that kill on LeBlanc.
Yeah, I think Riot specifically said if someone is on fire, you should be able to see them.
You should. I mean, they're probably screaming as well.
You can't argue with that logic. So V and Booping are going to continue their buddy system too. So this is going to look like another 4v0, although this time it looks like VGP, the slower team to react. Although they do have a lot of jump on this tower, they should be able to push it down roughly the same time if they want it. But this also opens up a very early dragon for Energy Pacemaker carry, and I think they're positioning for it as soon as they take this.
They're definitely in the area with that. I did want to kind of touch back to that first blood that went down. It was I actually may have been right on the 4-minute mark, so the full gold going across. But either way, this is the first time, you are right, that here comes the early dragon, that Cassidy has gotten off to a good start. Didn't get the first blood, went over into the jungle, but definitely hasn't been put into the ground yet. Ooh, Rui
oh, they're going to find Rui and Chi-Chi. That's not where you want to be. Rui's going to get melted without any fight. The rappel up, Chi-Chi will be able to get away, but this is just a feather in the cap of Energy Pacemaker Carry as they'll continue going back to this dragon. It does have its health bar reset, but Buping doesn't seem to mind that too much. He's taken all the aggro on it. This is something that they're not quite doing so well, though, is shuffling that aggro.
Super Cat is. Actually, look at that. He's got
he's
it
doing
perfect.
well. But Buping is taking it all. I mean, it's okay because they got the dragon and no real harm done anyways. So, you know, it was well played. It was really just an unfortunate timing from Rui and Chi-Chi to try and check that. They both wandered into the brush at about the same moment, and they were right on the cusp of being spotted out. And, well, they got the word down, but at what cost?
But so far in this early game, Energy Pacemaker taking a definite lead, about a 2K lead at a 5-minute mark, so pretty impressive there. Super Cat is going to connect.
Rui's getting locked up again. Wow, he's getting taken low. And okay, now you might want to start questioning the Soraka pickup, just because they decided to go for the lane swap. First tower will fall in the top lane meanwhile, but the sustain just hasn't gotten there yet. Also, that buddy system has kind of weakened Rui a lot. He hasn't been able to compete at all with Love Letter and Super Cat.
Well, this is why Soraka really fell off as far as a top laner, because of the jungle meta. She can't jungle very proficiently. She is a level-dependent champion, so obviously when you're in this 2v1 lane swap, the one thing that you're going to be denied is levels. She does well, obviously, clearing waves when she gets those points into her Q, into her sustain, but level 3 Soraka not going to have that happen for her. So Rui definitely having a bad time. Meanwhile, in the top lane, V gets a free farm lane essentially pushed up to him, so he is very happy with this wave.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder, where is Braum in all this? Love Letter nearly looking for the dive. Tower's gonna fall almost, but they are just prolonging it at this point, waiting for the pick. You saw Kilyu and Chi-Chi hanging out in that bush, but they don't get anything off of it, and that's a lot of time wasted.
Definitely there. I'm actually really surprised that V is pushing so hard on this. I think the wave may have actually naturally pushed to him. But even worse, Shyvana bringing teleport to Rui's heal. I mean, obviously he gets the semi-global presence from his ultimate when he eventually gets level 6, but I feel like the ball is definitely in V's court to be more of an impact for his team. Teleport so important in the current meta, especially with a Cassidy on your team.
And we talked a lot about how Energy Pacemaker Carry has more of a pick-associated comp, but they've been working it pretty well. Oop, Shishu, gotta be careful. Tong's gonna try to put the damage on him. He does get a little bit more out for his trouble, but he's low on mana at this point, can't keep this fight up. And meanwhile, Kilyu just kind of wandering around and carrying his shield and laughing about it, but he's not really doing a whole lot. Blue buff gonna go over in favor of Tong now to help him sustain a little bit up. But some normalcy's resumed. Everyone's going back to their normal lanes as VGP just realized that lane swap really didn't do much for them.
And unfortunately for Braum here, what he's trying to do is give that Twitch as much solo EXP as possible. Is losing the level Super Cat level 3 to his level, Super Cat level 4 to his level 3. Wow, it's early. I wish I could
read. It ticked as you said it.
We'll go with that.
I got you covered. Anyways, they're going to do a pretty big roam here through the mid, Super Cat and Love Letter, camping out in this mid lane to try and push on the turret as well. So very objective focus. Energy Pacemaker Carry is really showing what their sister team was kind of lacking in this early game. And once again, VGP not looking super strong in game number 1, but remember, their sister team on that side also had a lot of troubles in the first game.
Looking at this mid-tier tower, again, Love Letter on Lucian has the advantage of burning down towers very quickly with his passive. Does get some decent damage onto this, but I really feel they're only bringing Lucian to that siege. Cassidy, obviously, melee range, doesn't have great wave clear on him, at least as far as safe wave clear on him, can't siege very well. Morgana does have the Tormented Soil, so able to push waves a little bit effectively, but I feel like this is a very slow-going war of attrition almost.
Yeah, this is what these teams are definitely going for right now. It's all about who takes the advantageous team fight. I know that may sound kind of right, but they just are waiting for someone to make a mistake. You must kill the Nexus or force a surrender. You can demoralize your opponents. That works too. But they just kind of baiting it out and like saying, well, if you're not going to attack us, we're just going to keep poking the tower down. And that's the war of attrition that's working out for them right now. They have even numbers, but Love Letter is just not getting answered when he pops it. Look at this Culling coming out to clear the wave and just scare everybody up. Exploding Spiderling comes in, but it deals hardly any damage. And there's always the ever-present threat of Jishu on the outside. Super Cat about to hit 6-2. Oh, they're going to dive into Love Letter. He does get ignited, but Braum misses the Q. Master Mao, by the way, takes him down at the end of the day, just barely. Bu Ping in there now, too, but it's a little bit too late, so they do get overly aggressive, lose Love Letter in that, and a nice collapse from BG Gaming P, picking up their first kill of the game.
Definitely good move by Master Mao there to get a little bit cheeky, and now the push is definitely in their favor. Again, pushing, not the best of their ability. Twitch does decent damage to a tower, but can't burn it down like Lucian. But fortunately for them, Energy Pacemaker carry, they don't really have any wave clear on the side of their team. Bu Ping there stepping forward and saying, oh, I got this wave clear, throws at a Kha'Zix W. Same thing, right?
Yeah. It's working out pretty well for him so far. A little bit worried, though, for Tong right now. Surprisingly, he's been way ahead on farm on Cassidy, but bought a second Doran's Ring instead of getting like a Chalice or something like that. Just has been tried to go very aggressive and has sacrificed a lot of mid-game potential for it.
I feel like what he's trying to do is stack up the health. Oh, but we do see a Roam coming into the top.
Yeah,
Rui
is going to be in a lot of trouble in just a moment, and he's playing a little overconfident right now. They're focusing on this weak point. Rui has not been able to compete. He's down a level on V, and there's the bait out. Rui's about half health, going to force the Dragon's Descent away, but here they come, and there's a pause. Oh, that was an inopportune moment. Jishu, he's frozen in time.
You want to know where a pause is going to go down? It's going to go down as that Cassidy's looking at you thinking, this is about to be delicious. To touch back on LeBlanc's double Doran's Rings, though, I feel like what LeBlanc's going for is he's trying to survive the initial burst from Cassidy, and obviously LeBlanc, Cassidy, both cooldown-based champions. The difference, though, is that Cassidy's more of a sustained damage mage fighter, whereas LeBlanc is definitely kind of a one-combo, go in, blow someone up. So with that double Doran's Rings pickup, he's going to survive the initial Cassidy and Riftwalk, come in with the silence and do everything, and then try to completely turn it around with his wombo combo and take him out instantaneously. That's the only thought process that I can think about, or it was just maybe an untimely back from him, but definitely a little bit of a different style with those two mages going in, even though they're technically both assassins.
Yeah, it really was an interesting pickup too, and again, the Cassidy is not going to do extremely well unless he starts snowballing forward, but he has done a little bit better this game than a lot of the other Cassidys, and they're not focusing the comp on him exclusively. They're also trying to get the AD carry a little bit up and up. They're focusing more on objectives and just pushing together and keeping people alive, which is a lot smarter than just beat the Cassidy and win the game.
I feel like the mobility of their composition, the fact that their carries are Lucian, Cassidy, and obviously the Relentless Pursuit and the Riftwalk are pretty huge. Fights in the jungle, especially long sustained fights that allow Cassidy to make use of the lack of vision and trying to wreck that chaos on them, is going to be pretty potent. The reason why I don't think Cassidy has really been effective is because Chinese teams, they don't really separate. Picks do occasionally happen, and teams are pretty good at forcing to create picks, but a lot of time, even when a split push is available, we'll see KOs, they'll have the Hurricane, they'll have the Teleport, but they won't go in split push. They'll stay with the team. And the Chinese meta has very much been about, we group as 5 very early, we stay together. It's almost like an ARAM type of game, and Cassidy can't really find picks there. We'll see if they're able to force the team to respond to what they do and kind of get him rolling, but definitely are right. The best startup for a Cassidy that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, the Chinese meta is like, it's kind of like Zac. It only blows apart when bad things are happening, right?
I was made for this.
Literally, it's not how much you lift, it's how good you look. And man, I do look good in that dress, don't I?
I keep going back
to
it.
We're full circle.
Quality.
It's what's happening. Yeah, I didn't even realize your jacket says LSPL 2014 on it too. Very styling.
It's notice how I get a jacket, but you don't.
Yeah, I know. It might be just a little bit sexist. I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking it's relatively warm right now, so I don't really need one, but layers are never a bad option to take. Style and practicality.
To touch back on jackets, this is completely random, although it will tie into LPL. I don't know if you watched Royal Club. So obviously Royal Club is now Star Royal Club, but last split when they were Royal Club, Uzi had this support who shall go unnamed. Not going to name names. This support was pretty massive. Uzi got a bit of a reputation. He's very cute in his face. I think Uzi is very adorable. He kind of looks like Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z. Like, literally, if you see a picture, if you see this picture side by side, you'll be like, oh my god.
I can't believe you just made that comparison, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
But here comes this dive, so I don't even get to talk about the jacket.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a minute, because Bu Ping is making plays. Down goes Rui. Actually burns a flash on him as well, but he's getting locked up by Kilyu, and he's taking tower shots along the way. We'll get his stealth off, though. Nicely done to juggle the aggro over the tower, and Kilyu just cannot find anything on that. They pick off Rui. Well done, recognizing the weak point in this composition from VGP.
Big pickup right there. Did they trade 1-for-1? I'm completely spacing
No,
now.
no. V completely got out safe.
Okay, yeah.
He was totally fine. He was just disengaging with the Dragon's Ascent when that pause did come down.
Yeah.
And that was when Kassadin revealed. So Jishu comes in there. He's like halfway into the tower. And then Rui, you can almost see, like if champions can imitate the emotion, it's just like the half stutter step, like, oh, I'm screwed.
That was a 10-minute gank going down there, but the one downside for Energy Pacemaker carries there is that the kills both went onto their jungle. So Kassadin, yeah, coming up to a better start, but is still sitting at the 0-2. Would much rather see him get that Roa popping before the 15-minute mark. Still has a bit of time, but early Dragon coming out for carry is going to be their second Dragon of the game if this goes uncontested, which pretty much looks like it's going to.
Yeah, let's talk about the Vision game, too. We're talking about, again, Chinese meta not huge on Vision, and the team that tends to get it seems to be doing a lot better. This time around, it is Energy Pacemaker carry, investing heavily into pink wards all around that Dragon Pit. Really pays off for them this time. No idea it was coming. VGP completely couldn't stop this one. And the tower is now under siege as well. Jishu looking around the outside to see if he can make a pick, but they're going to disengage from this one. It is all 5 members in the mid lane from Energy Pacemaker carry. Rui rushing to help defend the mid as well.
Talking about this ARM mentality, they have to be very careful because the Braum ult is variable. Kill you taken down under half health there, but
There's your war of attrition. Oh, Tong does not get the chains off, and that would have been a very different initiation to the fight if they had. Supercat will push people away with the Tormented Soil. This tower is going to fall 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, maybe. It's going down soon. There's no stopping it.
I feel like it's going to force kill you to burn the Braum ult, and the synergy between Braum's ult and Rat-a-tat-tat right now is going to be pretty disgusting across Energy Pacemaker.
He doesn't even have it, though. He's still level 5. Braum has not been able to get any
Oh my goodness, he is level 5.
Yeah, now he just hit 6. This is the engage they're looking for. He's going to pop the ultimate, gets it onto Vibu, Ping, and Jishu, and they're forcing a turnaround. Supercat is extremely low. This could be the chance they're looking for. They're trying to find an angle at which to take. Everyone's extremely low on the side of every team, actually. I was going to say Energy Pacemaker, but they're going down real quick, like Booping trying to turn around, answer a revenge kill on Tong. He does manage to pick it up, but it's still so far a 3-for-1 trade. Chi-Chi gets out, Jishu being locked up, and that is nearly an ace as only Shyvana survives. 4-for-1, and the defenders turn it right on around.
I will just say that Braum was level 5, yes, but I did call that the Braum ult was going to be the turn for that fight into the Rat-a-tat-tat. Huge damage, and unfortunately for Energy Pacemaker carries, they got a little bit split as they went around that banana brush into the river there on that chase, which pretty much let VG Gaming pick and choose who they're going to go down and kill, so fantastic there. Also a great wish coming out of Rui in the top lane to pretty much save everyone on his team.
Banana brushes. You know, that split actually did help a little bit because...
Oh, it helped huge. Booping was, like, caught on the other side of the wall. He couldn't help his team at all.
I'm sorry, I mean for Energy Pacemaker, though, because if they had all been on the same side, they would have all gotten locked up by Killyu's ultimate and just unloaded on by Master Mao. I think that could have been a clean ace if that had happened. As it was, at least some of them got away.
Definitely. Now, taking this blue buff, give it over to Tong there.
And they started to pick up some kills onto the people that they need to put them on, too. So, VGP, 3 kills onto Twitch, and that's exactly what you want, especially if you're playing in a Chinese league. 3-1-1 for Kha'Zix. Nobody else really has any kills except for, of course, Morgana's got the one. Here's
no.
the... Oh, my goodness. Are they patient enough for this death brush? Oh, Tong! He dashes away just in time, still gets locked up, and then there's VG answering right on back. A little bit of impatience. They should have waited for him to face check that one to lock him up.
Such a classic Fnatic brush. I don't know why they decided to go for the full extended Dark Binding from Supercat right there.
They're still doing it.
They're aggroing the red buff, but did it go to Master Mao? No.
I think they did. Oh my goodness, Master Mao in a bad place as Tong's going to try and answer the kill now. Energy Pacemaker on the chase. Tong should go down in this one. Heal is popped. Love Letter on the outside, completely kiting around the rest of it, and it looks like V will grab the kill on that side. Rui still healing up as he goes, but they cannot stem that blood flow. Tong and Master Mao going down in a 2-for-none and a red buff steal. Nicely done by Energy Pacemaker carry.
They have to be a little bit careful here. Rui sitting 0-2-5, hasn't been, he's not the super carry of his team right now. Again, those kills going over to Master Mao on his Twitch there, but that damage is really starting to stack up in those star calls. Has his Athenes completed, should be looking at either a Spirit Visage or a Rylai's next, but they need to be careful clumping up like that. That almost turns south.
And they're going to be able to take this tower. Energy Pacemaker doing a nice rotation up to that top lane to pick off a 3rd tower of the game as they've now opened this side of the map up, control about 60-70%, whatever you want to divide those math numbers into. And this is the part where it starts to get a little scary for VGP. They've made some good plays so far, kept even in the kill score, but the gold is getting a little bit out of hand. 16 minutes. This is the clearest lead we've had all game.
Definitely, and Vici Gaming trying to make something happen into that mid lane are going to pick up a free mid tower, so evening up that vision control and the passive map control in that mid lane. I think Rui's going back to place a ward, or is he going back for those creeps? Oh, it's a ward. I was going to say, Rui, no! The creeps, they're not worth it.
Not worth it at all. But they are going to start getting some vision out this game, and this is something that VGP desperately needs to do, as they've been pretty much out-warded a good chunk of it. I don't know the exact numbers, but every time I glance down at the minimap and I'm seeing a whole forest of blues placed around the side, now they've finally started to answer back with a lot of their own. So, unfortunately, it's their own jungle that they have to ward up at this point. They don't have the luxury of getting super deep. They did get the one over by the Dragon Pit, which, by the way, is going to be regenning a dragon in about a minute, so that will be the next hotly contested objective. But at this point, Energy Pacemaker carries in a much better position to contest it.
And I feel like Vici potential, yes, that they have the Energy Pacemaker has the better vision control to contest the dragon, but I actually think that Master Mao right now, if he's able to stay safe and utilize that Bromwell to get his Rat-a-tat-tat off, he's actually very strong right now, stronger than Lucian. So Lucian has the BT completed, but he's going Ghostblade, he's not going Sheen, so he loses a lot of burst damage there as we come into this mid-game, whereas that Bork on the Twitch is going to be absolutely deadly here. So if there's going to be a point to come back, I feel like this dragon fight, if VG potential play this right, could be very, very big in a swing of power for them.
Yeah, and you got to look at the way that the 280 carries are playing the game as well. They're putting a lot more emphasis on the mid laner on the side of Energy Pacemaker carry and on establishing picks, whereas the 5v5 is a little bit stronger for VGP right now, just because they have a stronger AD carry and a better sustainable fight. However, they did take a bit of a poke there, and Energy Pacemaker carry going to chase them out as the dragon is about to spawn. This is something that also incredibly impresses me about the Chinese scene. Their awareness of timers is next level. They literally get there at the exact perfect moment. Sometimes they just bump straight into each other.
And it is going to be another free dragon to Energy Pacemaker carries, their third one of the game, completely uncontested. Again, that Rui not having teleport on that Soraka definitely hurting him there. Had to walk all the way there, wasn't able to get around in time for his team, and again, out-rotated, out-positioned. It feels like Energy Pacemaker carries is kind of taking a page from the notebook of VGS.
And remember, the first game in that last series was a pretty big loss for the VG team, so we might see a similar trend developing, that they're just not quite so good against their opponents in the beginning of the game. They do have a solid composition, however, they're just kind of being pushed back and back and back and not answering very well for it. So VGP, despite having some pretty strong pickups, are going to start leaning a lot heavier on Master Mao in order to make these fights go their way.
The CS across the board is actually relatively even until you get to that mid lane, which of course Cassidum, much harder to farm. He is a melee champion, does have a little bit more tools in this current patch to help him in that mid lane farm those champions up, but LeBlanc spent quite a bit of time solo in that bot lane at the beginning of the game, has a decent CS lead, about 30 CS, so despite being down three deaths, has a good kill advantage over Cassidum.
But it is all about these carries right now, and if they do have a full 5v5, I'm kind of scared for Loveletter. He's been able to kite back and back and back. They have a lot of good protection for him, and that's something that they're doing extremely well by just focusing a lot of the attention onto Jishu, onto Buping.
But going for the assassination.
There's your 1v1. Master Mao is going to find Loveletter on the outside. The culling is going to get popped out. Master Mao going to get clipped by about half of it. Doesn't pop his heal, but he does heal up on his lifesteal. And Chi-Chi coming in around the side for the relief effort, as of course the support and the jungler from Energy Pacemaker carry was also there. Supercat Buping going to join the party.
Master Mao did get the flash off of Loveletter there. Very scary thing. Again, we talked about how Lucian isn't going Trinity, he is going Ghostblade second item. So loses a lot of his burst potential, which means that anywhere he is on the map, Master Mao can effectively do that to him whenever he wants. He's not afraid that Lucian's going to suddenly burst him for half his health with a Sheen proc.
And Lucian has been able to force the disengages pretty well in this when he needs to. They also have a pretty fantastic tower pushing ability. Of course, his ultimate on cooldown right now as he used it on Master Mao, but they should be able to start taking these towers with a little bit more ease here. And once Lucian does get up to his Ghostblade too, that popular strategy that we've been seeing in these should be a lot more troublesome for VGP to deal with.
Now, the idea with the Ghostblade Lucian is that he's going to build Lucidity Boots. With the Brutalizer, it also gives CDR, so he maxes out Lucian's CDR pretty effectively and very early into mid-game, which again makes Lucian effectively invincible, has the shorter cooldown on his E, has the Black Shield available to him. The other really key thing about Ghostblade is it helps him reposition, but it also helps his ultimate a lot. Obviously, Lucian doesn't have a cast animation for the culling, so he gets to move when he casts it. If you're moving faster, you're going to get off more culling shots, and it actually allows him to get off more culling shots because of the attack speed increase.
Yeah, so pretty awesome idea, actually, that's been put to the test quite a lot here. So VGP, however, pushing down 4 men on the mid side, and they've kind of both tried to do this 4-1, but then they're playing chicken with each other. You see both the top laners moving down to help the rest of the teams. However, V is going to be a much bigger part of this frontal attack than Rui will be, as Rui doesn't really have to be in the action to be still be making an impact. Of course, still wants to be able to pop his Mikhail's Crucible and say his teammates get in trouble. I think VG will just be taking a blue buff as their red was stolen, and I think they're blue as well.
Actually, very big. We do have the blue onto Tong, but with that second blue buff refresh pickup he's going to make, it denies cast from the blue. Very mana-dependent champion, doesn't have his tier yet, does have his rose, still waiting for that to stack up, but looked like a pretty easy pickup, very simple taking the blue buff, but very huge implications.
And both these teams really just want to siege down the mid lane now that they've also opened up the map, at least in that one. But the easier low-hanging fruit right now might be this bot side first tier, the only one still standing. And it's on Energy Pacemaker carry side. So they're going to look for this red buff around, steal it up, see if they can't follow the wave as well. But they have to deal with V pushing with Shyvana on the top. It's going to be a slower push. However, you can't leave that uncontested for too long. And everyone's going up the middle as well. Yep, they're going to be going the safe path. Well, Tong doesn't. He lives dangerously, but that's okay. He's got a dash.
Energy Pacemaker making the correct read on seeing that VG potential wanted to go for that bot lane, trying to stretch their resources thin and rush down the mid-tier tower. It's just 1 versus 4 right now in the mid, and this tower is going down quickly.
Yeah, well, Killu comes in, and then they decide to scare them off just a little bit. This is a nice strategy though, because they have Master Mao able to push completely solo, and it's a dangerous thing to have your ADC pushing solo. But Master Mao has a good escape mechanism. He's not being contested as long as they keep them from backing and keep them from going bot. He can start pushing on the second tier, and he's actually just going to start his recall animation. V around the side though. This could be a big dragon flank, and they don't know that this is here. But V's going to be able to get back.
Are committing. Okay, there goes the teleport. I was going to say, with Shyvana being pushed, they're committing to this dive. But the teleport does go down. They say, you know what, maybe we don't want to do this. We're just going to not let them have another tower for free.
And that was it was another game of chicken they're really playing, because Master Mao was sort of like backing and then he wasn't, and then teleport comes in and then he backs for real. But a nice maneuver by VGP is they pick up a tower pretty much for free. They lost some damage on that second tier, but they were able to defend it, especially Tong defending on 1. They just were afraid of getting blown up by him.
Definitely the threat of Braum coming over from the side. Again, looking down across the scoreboard, this Kassadin still seeing 0, 1, and 5. And it's actually looking for a Zhonya's rush instead of going to the tier. A lot of sweepers also across the board. We talk about how Chinese teams are much more about vision denial. Again, perfectly on point for this dragon timer. Have the 4 sweepers, make sure it's not warded. Another dragon for Energy Pacemaker carries, their 4th one of their game.
This one is not going to get contested, but they're going to try and take a fight here. And nice disengage though. Chi comes in and leads the charge, only to find the dragon completely missing. So 3 dragons in favor of EP.C right now, as they have themselves a nice 5k gold lead this game. They're doing pretty fantastic at really controlling these neutral objectives, and I can't wait to see when the Baron dances start breaking out who takes the top on that one.
I feel like VG Gaming is going to look for a little bit something more. Pings are going down for this second tier and mid tier tower. Again, we talk about they don't have the best siege, not like Energy Pacemaker carries, but Energy Pacemaker in a little bit of a non-position, slow to react. Get decent damage, about 10% of the tower's health, but now all 5 members in the mid lane.
And they may not have good pushing potential, at least in terms of siege, but they do have a really good sustained fight. So what they can do is just poke away at the towers and hope that they get dove. If they don't get dove, they won't put much on it. They'll just get poked out. If they do get dove, if Energy Pacemaker carry loses their patience at this one and dives it on, VG has a really good chance of taking a solid fight. even if they're down a decent bit of gold.
Something VG Gaming has to be really careful about with these large bottom waves. We do see Energy Pacemaker kind of setting up and posturing around Baron. They do have the pink ward on it, is that they don't have the teleport available on their team, so they can't send Rui down bottom. Again, he does have the semi-global presence because he's bringing in the Wish, but it's not the same thing as having that Star Call, having those Ws in a team fight with you. So they can't allow, as this game kind of ticks later and later, especially in the Chinese meta, to have those waves build up and to respond to that pressure on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and their mobility is a bit lacking too. If you notice, only 2 members of VGP actually have boots too at this point, and I'm kind of waiting to see if Rui does pick up mobility just so he can roam around a little bit easier. Now, fight nearly broke out by the Baron pit, but it got disengaged by Kilyu. Good old Braum just shoving ice out at people out of his shield and making sure that no fights get started on their on the enemy team's terms, as it were.
Rui actually picked up a Mikhail's Crucible as his second item, typically mostly a support item. Obviously, synergizes well with Soraka because it's going to give her more mana regen, has the Chalice part in it, has the heal, but it's mostly there to help Twitch against the Soraka pick. Very much supporting of Master Mode, but that tells me that they want Rui in these team fights. So again, this isn't supposed to be a side lane split push Soraka utilizing the Star Call, but those waves are building up. We do see V is now going to roam to the bottom wave, push out that wave, get another big pressure point on the Dragon, and Energy Pacemaker still posturing around this Baron. They have the vision control of it.
And his teleport just came off cooldown, so if they do decide to try and dance for this one, there's always the threat of Shyvana. Yeah, here we go. VGP trying to bust a hole in something. They find Love Letter on the outside, but can't follow up damage to him. Jishu's there. Kilyu going to be forced to use his Unbreakable. And, oh, they're going to dive for this one. Here we go. I thought it was a Wild Growth, and I realized there's no Lulu in this game. Buping going to get ignited down into nothing. Tong will take him down. Kilyu now extremely low, but he's tanking up all the damage for his team. Here comes the big Soul Shackles, and Morgana going to come up big, but it's not nearly enough damage as down goes Super Cat. It's only V and Love Letter in this one. VGP actually taking a pretty big lead in this fight. They haven't gone down. Any of their members have not died yet. They're still chasing on V, but they have to be so careful. Kilyu's going to fall. There is the Bork popped, and Love Letter gets out low but alive.
Huge turnaround from VGP right there. Gonna give that one to Rui. As soon as he joined the fight, obviously the sustain from Soraka wasn't...
Oh my goodness, they're just clearing.
No.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would not have been a good Baron call.
The other big key thing here was Energy Pacemaker carries. Wow. Shisu, the mid laner, these Chinese names that get me every single time. Shisu, the mid laner on that Cassidy, actually went in a little bit too early. Did manage to only get half health in there, but he goes in, he gets Braum ulted, and it was even before the Dragon Descent came down from Shyvana. So V did still stay alive, but a little bit of lack of coordination and communication from Energy Pacemaker carries there to make sure that both of their initiations went out on the same time. Obviously, you don't want Cassidy initiating your fights.
And they did even up a bit of the gold lead. They could have had a bit more of that, but pushing forward a little greedily, they gave up Kilyu. And a kill over to Love Letter, too, nonetheless. So that's actually Love Letter's first kill of the game. And you just got to be careful what you're pushing for. I think just taking a couple of slow fights will turn VGP around in this game. But they have started to establish a bit more map presence and control back up. 3 towers to 3. Game's a lot more even than the gold might suggest.
And again, this goes back to where the gold is on the carries across the team. Again, Kha'Zix, Buping coming in 4-2-2 has most of the gold for his team, whereas the gold on the other side is firmly spread across the carries. You have some on Tong, you have a lot on Master Mao, so this is where you're really seeing these team fights turn.
They're starting to do a pretty good roam together as well. They're trying to bait things out. You see Chi-Chi just kind of dancing around, dangling spider bait out there. And V will not bite on that one. He's just going to chase them around. Love Letter actually gets a bite taken out of his health by LeBlanc, but be able to back away from that one and heal it right back up. He's got a decent amount of lifesteal. Actually hasn't finished his Ghostblade yet either, so he hasn't really had much of a chance to back, or rather he's been working on his Eye Edge instead. Well, a bit of a skirmish going to break out over by this Dragon Brush. It is 40 seconds until the Dragon goes, so if someone does get taken down in the next 20 seconds, that's going to open up a pretty big power play, and the winner of that fight probably going to be taking Dragon. This time, VGP determined to not let Energy Pacemaker carry have this one.
Definitely setting up very early, saying, you know, you guys always beat us here. We're going to show up 40 minutes in advance. We're camping outside the theater. We got our tent set up, and they're putting up their pink wards and trying to really secure and control this.
Yeah, and it looks like EP.C might actually give this one up. I mean, they have a couple people in the mid, but at this point, there's probably enough strength in LeBlanc and Tong and Chi-Chi to maybe just duo this. And here we go. They're going to try and rush this one down. Oh, no, they're backing away.
So Dragon is live. It is going to be aggroed by Chi Chi here. They don't have any wards. Oh, and it's a power play for the mid.
Oh my goodness, they're going to send 4 to deal with this and just let Chi-Chi take it on. Tong is going to hang around the side, see if he can't get a pick on this one. They have to realize this is happening, and if they distract them long enough, it's going to be a free dragon.
They're falling back to Chi Chi, though. If they decide to turn on him, he's completely in no man's land.
Oh, he gets it, though, and he should have a repel up available to get away. Booping is going to try to W him out, but they won't land it. The Dark Binding is almost going to land, but it's just out of range. Nicely done by VGP to just sneak that one by.
Energy Pacemaker Carry went for the power play to try to force the team to pick between the objective and the dragon, and instead, VG Gaming got to keep both. A little bit hesitant, I think, Energy Pacemaker Carry, if they had just called one way or the other, we're diving this or we're going back and we're falling back on Elise, things would have been better, but a little lack of communication there.
Yeah, I think they were a bit scared of Tong, and to be honest, that was just, you never know. If you don't see LeBlanc, you can never be sure if you dive. If they had dove up there, the positioning that Love Letter has been demonstrating this entire game, he might have been like two-shotted.
Prime food there. And again, I think it really speaks to the fact that despite Energy Pacemaker Carry being up in kill gold, they're actually very afraid of these team fights. The last 2 team fights have not gone their way, and you know they're thinking in the back of their mind, they're stronger right now, they have more gold than us, which isn't true, but where it is on their team is much more effective for these team fights.
Yeah, and a lot of the kills, of course. We talked about this in previous games, but Booping is the biggest champion in the game for kills, but that doesn't necessarily matter as much, especially not at 32 minutes in. And, well, Dragon's gone, first-tier towers are gone, we're going to have a Baron dance. Why not, right?
Classic China, it's 30 minutes, time to dance around Baron. Some things never change. Ooh.
Oh, V taking a lot of damage. Well, not as much as he might expect. Chi-Chi actually going to get locked up, but able to repel away. Love Letter going to pop a calling out. This is actually looking like a better fight for Energy Pacemaker Carry as they turn around on VGP. Everybody's extremely low, but Morgana's going to fall first, and this is starting to look a little bit crazy. Booping trying to make plays. Tong somehow getting away. Kilyu falls. Rui's still there. He's going to almost go down, though. This is nearly an ace, and that is going to be a Baron if they choose for it. They're a little low, but they can heal up and take this one on the outside. Maybe not. They're going to back away instead.
That was a fantastic Dragon Descent from V there to get in the middle, and even better Soul Shackle from Supercat. Are they going to 2-man Baron this? The teleport is coming back.
There we go. V goes back to base and immediately teleports in. Doesn't even wait for the fountain to heal him up enough. They're going to 3-man this Baron. Now, the one weakness is they don't have Booping's Smite available, but they're bursting it down quickly nonetheless, and there's a big cooldown death timer on everybody but Rui right now. Kilyu and Chi-Chi are going to come right back up, but it's too little too late. There's no vision in the pit. They have to give this up anyways, and nicely played by EP.C.
Booping gets there just in time to hit that smite there, and this is exactly what Energy Pacemaker Carries wanted. They needed something big like that. A perfect fight led them into the Baron. Just such a throw from VG. You know they're kicking themselves right now. With that Baron in the hands of Energy Pacemaker, they don't necessarily have a siege comp available to them. They do have Lucian, so if they get a free tower, expect to see these outer towers go down, but I can't see them taking down an inhibitor tower even as it is a little bit late in the game. They just don't have it really available to them unless they go for a dive, which diving Soraka, not the best idea.
Perhaps not, and they don't want to have to give up those juicy Baron buffs as well. That would be a bit of a waste of that, so they can sit back and just shove waves out best they can at this point. A nice, safe positioning. And actually, they're waiting over by the red buff to maybe reverse this death bush that they've been seeing pulled quite a lot. So VGP wanting to try and get a pick onto Jishu and dangling that red buff bait out in front of him, but Booping's coming around the side too. This is going to be crazy. Oh my goodness, nicely done. The intuition, Tormented Soil, forces everybody to back away. And they can't walk on coals too long. But they do find Jishu out there. He is going to immediately pop his Zanyas, and they're going to walk away from it as the rest of EP.C is in here. Dragon's Descent coming in, trying to take a fight. Tong is low, going to force out a whole lot of abilities to shove him off it, but they're doing the exact same thing they did last time. Wish is going to be used pretty quickly. They're poking down as quick as they can. This fight might turn in favor of EP.C, but they're not targeting very effectively. Tong is going to be able to escape. Master Mao going to get taken down, however, and so is Rui. This is a 3 for none. Free tower incoming, and nicely done once again by EP.C.
VGP was looking for kind of a cheeky pick to make one of these Barons, possibly two, disappear. Unfortunately, fool me once, not going to fool me twice there. Great prediction from the Tormented Soil to turn that around. Master Mao, literally nothing he can do in these team fights. He has a Kassadin, he has a Shavon, he has a Kha'Zix to face up against. They get right up on his face, and that is an inhibitor. And are they continuing to push?
I think they are, and at this point, Love Letter's actually started to outscale Master Mouse, so if it comes down to a duel again, well, we may not even get a chance for that one. They are melting through these towers. It is like a hot knife through butter. Down the second one goes, and they're just going to end the game here. Game number 1, going to go over to Energy Pacemaker Carry, and Tabi has got to be pissed.
And think about where that team fight started. That effectively started on the red buff all the way across map. They burned through towers so quickly that they're able to pick up 3 kills and then shove that straight down mid through not only the inhibitor tower, the inhib, but the 2 Nexus towers.
Yeah, that was crazy how much they were able to capitalize on that. I mean, it got a little bit... the game started snowballing a little quickly because of that Baron and the fact that we were about 35 minutes into the game. Maybe, I don't know about you, I got a little bit fooled for just a moment because there was a Baron dance going on and I suddenly assumed it was 20 minutes.
It's only 15 minutes. What are you talking about? They dance over that when it spawns.
Yeah, well, they're waiting for it to spawn. But speaking of waiting for spawns, the dragons were just absolutely on point for EP.C, and this is what got them ahead. More than towers, more than picks. The fact that they were able to get into the dragon pit every single time and take 3 uncontested dragons, only giving up the 1 that was sneaked away, really, by VGP. And well done on that first game. We'll see if they can answer back. You know, the coach has got to be shouting at the players in the locker room, see if he can make the same impact on VG potential.
So we will be right back. This is a best of 3, so don't go anywhere because VG Gaming does have time to come back.
Fusion core active. Pulse fire cannon targeting. Hello, Ezreal. Do you require a map?
No.